friends. Welcome back to running commentary number 105. It's from last week's Parsha, Korach. The Rebbe kind of revealed a revolutionary perspective on our motivation for money, for more money. And the Rebbe actually started out this part of the talk with a question: if somebody has $1 million, why would he want another $1 million? So, assuming you ask most people that question, they'll have various responses to what they could do with their second million. But the Rebbe brought a deep truth, a deep understanding to this. And the Rebbe said, if somebody has $1 million, why does he want the second? And the Rebbe explained in this beautiful way that we live and operate on an internal aligned connection with what God wants, whether consciously or subconsciously. Often, maybe most of the time, it's subconsciously. So we might think and feel something a certain way, but the real reason is deeper than our conscious mind. And the Rebbe said that there's an instruction in the Torah called Marlene Mahesh. Marlene Mahesh means we progress, we grow in matters of holiness, and not the opposite. And the Rebbe explained that when somebody has $1 million, he earned, worked hard for, status of his mitzvah, of tzedakah, the category, the bracket in which he's in, the 10% bracket. So he's committed and is obligated to contribute 10% of his earnings to tzedakah. So throwing out the numbers, imagine it's $100,000 he owes to tzedakah. Now, a person is in that category where he gives $100,000 to tzedakah, and suddenly he realizes it's not enough. I want to do more. I need to grow in my Judaism. I need to grow in my contribution to this world, into bringing God's holiness into this world, into creating a Mishkan, a temple, edifice for God, in the ways that we can today, by supporting Jewish organizations, helping poor people, helping kids learn Torah, etc. So the true motivation, says the Rebbe, for a person to want more, the second million, is because his soul, his neshama, simply wants to benefit this world and bring God into this world more and better than he's done before, more than he was capable of doing before, because of Marlene Mahesh, because of this instruction that we have in our DNA, it's in our blood, that we need to increase in matters of goodness and kindness, increase in matters of holiness. Marlene, elevate, we go up, we progress, we grow. Now, what's the challenge? So, the Rebbe, being a practical man, also tells us that there's some challenges involved. And he goes through them. And he says the person who earns $1 million, and of course, obviously, for everybody it's in their range of whatever they're earning, the person who earns a certain amount of money with his sweat and hard work and efforts might think to himself, the words the Rebbe used approximately, he says, I worked so hard on my money, why should I give it to some Batlan? Batlan is like some no Goodnik who can't make a dime, who can't make his own living. And all he's doing is sitting and teaching some kids Aleph Beis, or teaching them Chumash, or Gemara, or Chassidus, teaching some little kids Torah. Let them go out on the street and make $1. Why should I give my hard-earned money to that? And of course, by association, for tzedakah, it would be for a poor person too. So the Rebbe says the response that this business person is given is that the Gemara says that the whole world that we live in, including the world of your business, is dependent on and relies on the Hevel Tinekes Beis Rabban, the holy breath of these young innocent children that are learning Torah. The whole world depends on them. So the business person might respond, says the Rebbe, and say, well, that is written in the Gemara or in the Midrash. I can't take that with me to Wall Street. It's not going to make the buck go higher. It's not going to move the needle on my bank account. Says the Rebbe in his characteristic way, reversing the known truths of this world to the true truths of the Torah. He said that Wall Street world, the business world, is the world of imagination. The Dimion says it's all imagination, it's all hot air. He says the Torah is the truth. The truth is the Torah. And the Rebbe goes on and explains. There's a pasuk, a verse in the Torah as he relates to Korach of this past week's parsha. It says, "A kesef shamor lebalav lira'ah." That money sometimes is guarded, is kept for its owners for bad. Lira'ah means for bad, for evil, for not good. What does this mean? Long story short, the Rebbe says, when a person doesn't facilitate their mission of giving tzedakah properly, then sometimes the money doesn't do them well. Like Korach, who was the richest man at the time of his time. He was a very wise man, very smart man, but since he wasn't aligned with what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted, it didn't do him well, and he ended up in the ground and losing everything. And the Rebbe also quoted a story that was happening it was in the 80s, in the 70s or 80s, where this wealthy man, I think his name was Hughes, was a billionaire, and he was paranoid about his money, didn't give any of it, and his whole life was living in paranoia, and he never got a chance to benefit from his money. He died when his bank account was full, and there was no benefit to him whatsoever. So when does that happen? When could it be? And not only that, but his life was, as Rebbe expounded, he was paranoid about everybody who knew him. He thought they probably just want his money and not his friendship, and who knows, who has access to his bank accounts, etc. He was completely paranoid. So he lived a miserable life, and he died a very wealthy man, materially, but not emotionally or spiritually. And I think it was Hughes. He didn't say the name, but that's what some people say. Anyway, so the Rebbe says, how do we prevent, why does this happen, and how do we prevent this? Why does this happen, says the Rebbe? It happens when a person considers themselves to be ba'alav, like the pasuk says, like the verse says, kesef shomer leba'alav. Their money is kept for its owners for evil, for bad. What does that mean? It means if you think that you are truly the owner of the money, then it doesn't do you any good. And what happens when a person thinks that they are the ones who acquire the money and it wasn't a blessing from God, so then what happens is the Rebbe says an interesting thing. Every person is made up of a Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. We have an evil inclination, a good inclination, and an evil one. And so it's always in battle. We're always in struggle, one with the other. So sometimes one wins, sometimes the other one wins. So it's inevitable if somebody feels that it's my power, my might, acquired this wealth, then he's not going to necessarily do the right thing with it. But the solution, says the Rebbe, is to recognize another pasuk, another verse. Li hakesef, v'li hazav nu'um Hashem. God says, all the money in the world is mine. It belongs to me. And not the money that's out there somewhere in seventh heaven. The money in your pocket, says the Rebbe, belongs to me, belongs to God. And it's my opportunity, says God, to give you custodianship, to give you the opportunity, the ability, the obligation and opportunity to be a custodian over the money and distribute it according to God's will, which is to support the Jewish light in this world, to bring God's Mishkdash or Mishkan, heavenly abode, into this world through supporting Jewish education, poor people, Jewish institutions, etc. That's pretty much the story. So I think my takeaway from here, aside from the obvious, is that we have a choice about what perspective we'll take on that the gifts that God gives to us. And based on our choices, based on our perspective, we'll follow our action. And based on that, we'll follow how much more we get an opportunity to serve. God bless you. Thanks for joining. All the best.